what was your first cultural shock in Japan? Something small but deeply revealing.
Cultural shock. Yeah, there are certain things, they are can be really shocking, like every country.
That's why I asked you that.
Yeah.
And how was the cultural difference? Whether it was shocking or you enjoyed that?
And the open distributions of, pornographics.
Oh.
Yeah, so that is actually by the law, by something which is actually there that you can actually go and buy anywhere. Practically go to any stores, any convenience stores, any bookstore. There's a section to it where you can actually have it in open, and people can actually buy this and they can see and read anywhere. Practically you're commuting by a train and you see, this not been talked about, and I think something important, and this message.
Exactly, I think not even a podcast or any interview, even in the cultural exchange also these are discussed earlier.
Yeah, we discussed something, but I think this is something that I always wanted to talk about today as you had me on this podcast. I think this information is very important because that was the first shock, just about 2-3 months when I was into Japan and I used to commute, and I would see these elderly people in the 70s, and 75s, and these are old people, these are not young people. Forget about it, but they're even worse. And these people would buy those books wide in the public, in the train where there's a commuter next, a woman is sitting, or a young little girl child, in the adolescence, just, commuting back from the schools, and this old man, they are just reading it, and that just sounds normal. So I even went on to asking my wife, this is something very strange. How come? So see, you don't really have to think about it. This is how the country is. The good thing is that even though they would see it and read it, the other thing which is good part of it, they would never get and penetrate into other people to actually what they've been saying. They wouldn't behave bad. That's something very strange, So it is being open. They would read it, but they would not disturb anyone in any way.
Okay.
So that's been very interesting. So I think this information
was, I think, most of the people in the world do not know this. How critical is the India-Japan alliance in counterbalancing the global power shifts?
It's very, very important.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. This question has a big answer, right?
We have time, sir.
We have time, right? So, Japan, very simple. When you look at, I'll give you some examples, right? Okay. The subject is very big, You'll actually see my name on the Ministry of Education, Government of Japan, particularly on my lectures in this area on geopolitics and how India and Japan are working. And so I would just relate to one.
From there only I picked up this query from my side.
Yeah, this is something that is core to me, So
I have seen your video that was lecturing with the Ambassador of India, something like that.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So this is very. So I will give few examples. Okay, not few. One example because few it will get much longer. Right now, if you look into the way the Japanese companies are growing in India, the Japanese expat, we have about 20,000 in India, 6,000 being in Gurgaon. The kind of ODA, overseas development assistance loan that is coming into Japan, you'd be wondering, the amount is so staggering that we had at the initial phases when the DMS, the Delhi Mumbai Industry Corridor, was in the making. And Japanese government that time was pushing money from the JICA, JVIC, into India. And most of the money was using there because they were making the foundation bricks, of that area, which would geopolitically actually strategize supply chain from the western part of the country to, Gulf and, to the Africa and to the Europe. Yeah. So today, if you look at, sitting, we often talk about Assam. We often talk about the trilateral corridor, right?
Correct.
That will go all the way to Thailand. This sometimes nobody even talk about. If you see lately, Mr. Himanta Biswa's, tweeting that he is actually going to present that Assam's growing, the rate is the number one in the country, right?
Correct.
So Japanese side is putting so much of money into the Eastern Corridor. They've been putting at this point in time, if you look at the JICA report, they have been putting 4.5 billion. Out of the 2.5 billion is going to the northeastern 7 sister state, right? So why they are doing it? Because
hello everyone. Welcome to Jomiye Adda, a fireside hangout where conversations go beyond headlines and dive into ideas that shape the future. Today, I am privileged to host the President and CEO of Japan Education Center and Information Foundation, shortly we call it JC. It is a non-profit organization which promotes academy and industry between Japan and India. My guest today is someone whose life journey itself explains a powerful contrast between discipline and spontaneity, between systems and instincts, between how nations are imagined and how they are actually built. A licensed commercial pilot where discipline is not a suggestion, where checklists matter more than confidence, and where excuses have no altitude. From the cockpit, he moved to the classrooms, from flying aircraft to shaping educational systems. In this conversation, we'll not merely compare Japan and India. We'll reflect on habits, values, and choices, and how they quietly determine the future of the societies. And joining us today at this exciting fireside hangout is Captain Raj Adhikary.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this session, and I'm very much looking forward to be an engaging session. Thank you so much. And I know the guests are, mostly those who would be up, they'll be listening to podcasts. So I will try my best, to just extend the message that we would like to, through this conversation, and I hope everybody enjoys it.
So it is basically will be like a hangout type and not a typical interview or something like that. So we must discuss everything or rather we chat everything in a very comfortable way. Okay, but as usual to start with, why Captain? The personal journey. We are all interested to understand that. I'm very much curious. So Captain, let's start with the most obvious curiosity. Before education, geopolitics and Japan, there is aviation. Why a pilot? And what did the cockpit teach you that classrooms never could?
This is a very good question. I remember being myself last benches in the class. I would be sitting up at the last bench, never been in the first bench. I would relate to how it actually relates to the cockpit. Actually, when you sit at the back benches, right at the back, you can see everyone right in front of you in the class. Practically everyone. So you have it to see things from before. So it gives you the notation of, looking at others before your own self. So that's first thing. And that's Perfect. From the ground level, And then when you go to the sky, it becomes even more wider because from the sky, you have an aerial perspective. You can see everything from a very large perspective, which otherwise it hinders when you're in the ground because the vision, sometimes call about the vision. Vision is a very strange thing, often we talk about. Being a pilot, I've understood it much better because vision is a state where we can look until to the end of this wall, and this wall or the next building, the vision is completely different. You see it very clear, up on a really sunny day. But Correct. Then again, on a cloudy day or in a mist, you can hardly see the person just sitting next to you.
Exactly.
So it gives you a wider vision, I think, as a pilot. And I've observed from the back benches and from the sky. I think that gives a good perspective the way. Yes, thank you.
So flying teaches discipline, checklists, and zero tolerance for error. Do you think your aviation background shaped your attraction to Japanese systems?
Not really.
Oh.
To be very honest, because first of all, when it comes to discipline, is absolutely, aviation is about discipline because there is no tolerance, as you said. You can't just make a mistake. We have a checklist right from the moment we get in the morning into the back where we do all the pre-flight checks. Like the flight planning, and then you go to the aircraft and you do the enter 360 and all this stuff check. But Correct. That is a little different from when you spoke about getting my affiliation to Japan. That's a completely different story because when I went to Japan back, I'm married to Japanese, just for information. So I had that part of the U.S. from before, and I've learned quite a bit in the U.S. And then when I went to Japan, I found a very contrast in the way, we look at the world.
And it is basically US and Japan.
US and Japan.
The extreme east and the extreme west.
Extreme west. I had a chance to see, from the, I call it, from, Atlantic all the way to the end of the Pacific, where the sun rises, the land of the rising sun, that's in Japan, and then where you see the last moment in time of the days, as the world spins. But how it actually relates to the education into Japan is a completely different story because when I moved into Japan, that was back in the year 2002, I would remember, this is my 25th year you're into Japan. The thing that amazed me all time that, as why everything is so good. And we often hear, about the quality and excellence of Japan that the entire world, speaks and, they admire, was actually resonating inside me. There must be some process that actually take to that, excellent and quality that we saw. So what I started, doing at my back end as I was growing my years, because my family was there and I was there, I was trying to learn the basic, little here and there as to how they got into it. So that was the main reason when I started thinking it was something that is worth pondering and worth research. And then I went on to research. That's how I got into this. And then the story is quite much longer, if you'd ask me, in that line. Obviously, there's so much to share from this perspective.
Thank you, sir. Then what I'm curious to understand from you is that what was your first cultural shock in Japan? Something small but deeply revealing.
Cultural shock. Yeah, there are certain things, they are can be really shocking, like every country.
I mean, what I exactly wanted to understand from you, sir, was that you are a South Point. You're a pointer.
Yes, pointers.
You used to play hand cricket also at
school.
Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely.
From there to States.
Yeah.
Again, then to Japan.
Yeah.
So that was three different areas, three different countries, three different cultures.
Absolutely.
So that's why I asked you that.
Yeah.
And how was the cultural difference? Whether it was shocking or you enjoyed that?
See, for me, I am being very, straight when I speak, because some information is very critical, and this kind of information that you asked, if I can narrate some in that direction, would be worth, good information for the international community, everyone. Japan is, the society, that surprised me the first. I don't know if it is wise, good enough to tell, but when I went there, what I saw, at one side we talk about Japan's excellence, Japan's quality, and such great life, but on the other side, something that I did not like.
Okay.
I didn't like it, and the open distributions of pornographics.
Oh.
Yeah, so that is actually by the law, by something which is actually there, that you can actually go and buy anywhere. Practically go to any stores, any convenience stores, any bookstore. There's a section to it where you can actually have it in open, and people can actually buy this, and they can see and read anywhere. Practically, you're commuting by a train, and you see, this not been talked about. I think something important, and this message.
Exactly, I think not even a podcast or any interview, even in the cultural exchange. Also, these are discussed earlier.
Yeah, we discussed something, but I think something. This is something that I always wanted to talk about. Today, as you had me on this podcast, I think this information is very important, because that was the first shock, just about 2-3 months when I was into Japan, and I used to commute, and I would see these elderly people in the 70s, and 75s, and these old people, these are not young people, forget about it, but they're even worse. And these people would buy those books wide in the public, in the train, where there's a commuter next, a woman is sitting, or a young little girl child, in the adolescence, just, commuting back from the schools, and this old man, they are just reading it, and that just sounds normal. So I even went on to asking my wife, this is something very strange. How come? So you don't really have to think about it. This is how the country is. The good thing is that even though they will see it and read it, the other thing which is good part of it, they would never get and penetrate into other people to actually what they've been saying. They wouldn't behave bad. That's something very strange, So it is being open. They would read it, but they would not disturb anyone in any way.
Okay.
So that's been very interesting. So I think this information
was, I think, most of the people in the world do not know this.
From the outside the country, they don't know, but those who are us, for anyone international, those who have been, they see it practically everywhere. They don't just speak about it. As good as it's to speak good things about a country, this I really don't know, but it was really a cultural shock for me, because I haven't seen, because in other countries it's just being kept at the dark side, and it is there under the sunlight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, be honest.
Last was an honest answer,
Yeah. Now, the next part of what I like to understand from you is that, honestly, what scared you most in Japan, when you landed in Japan? The robots, or the silence in the trains, or people apologizing even when you bump into them, because you travel by local train at Kolkata when you were at Kolkata. So, What was the feeling when you landed at Japan?
Yeah.
And at your time, probably robots were not there in India, or it was only for the research purposes?
So, robots is practically everywhere in every task, as a machine tools, in Japan.
No, at that time.
Even at that time, it was, if you look at the Japanese industrial level.
In India, it was not there, I think.
It's not in India.
It was only for the labs or something like that.
In Japan, these days, if you even go, you can see the robots working in the restaurants, in the hotels, in the front desk, taking...
It was in which year?
This being there, even I would remember even 15 years back we had it,
Okay.
So it's something new that is there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's quite often you go to a restaurant and you see the robots, they come and just serve you,
So what is the feel at that point of time when the robots are serving or taking an order or something like that?
If you see for the first time, obviously something new that I haven't seen in the past, right? But then you enjoy it, it's something, it's good. It has a lot of good, facility because you be there buy at your own this comes the good thing that interaction in one side only the human interaction may just not be there much so and then again it's a broader perspective if you talk about the human such kind of interactions on a whole has quietly gone far outside the window. So how would you look at it, right? But yes, I personally I enjoy it.
Okay.
I enjoy it because I sit there and eat and I order it's okay. I think and it's a good experience for the foreign people those who even going for a travel because we always see up on the YouTube and here and there, right?
Correct.
Now you experience this firsthand. It's a good experience how to what extent Japan can go to use technology.
Correct.
So something that you can't see anywhere in the world.
Any humorous or any experience or any type of experience where you have seen that the robots are malfunctioning?
I haven't seen until now no robots. The machines, in Japan, no, I haven't seen.
It's
no.
flawless, basically.
Yeah, well, that is all about, the continuous improvement they're into. Like,
Okay.
Everything is checked monotonously every single day. Just for an example, you might have seen, how fast they clean a bullet train,
Correct.
and the way the things are. So things are very programmed under the Plan to Check Act, PDCA we call it, through which they do it. So I haven't never remember even I was stuck in an elevator in last 25 years.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Japan actually doesn't shout about discipline, what I have heard. It lives it. Was this subtle length what made you believe Japan had lessons India urgently needs?
It's not about India, the entire world needs it.
Oh.
Yeah,
What about US or UK?
Every
because
country,
you travel the entire world.
Every country practically needs this because how did they build the discipline? That's something that we have to really understand. That's exactly what my expertise. That is where we work, and I think this is something that I can relate much more better than the last question. Last question was generic question. This is more fundamentals to the knowledge.
Correct.
And Japan has built up a country, when you look at the discipline that you look on the surface, but we have to look very much to the mantle as to how they have developed it. So if you go deep down, ponder into the Japanese education system, they have evolved an education system which actually makes a contributing and cooperative citizens. Like unlike in many countries all over the world, they're competing. Competing sometimes divides. Okay. When you cooperate, it unites. That's one thing. Another thing, when you contribute, your state of mind is completely different. So how? But if you see, they never complains, if you go...
They never complain.
You would hardly find any Japanese complaining. Maybe in their own space, but in a common space, they would never. If you think about many countries, I don't want to take any name of the countries, and you will see that people tend to complain. So how did they develop this? You call it discipline. Discipline
Correct.
only comes when you don't complain. With complaint, you cannot discipline because you are actually dividing it, right?
Correct.
So you are going away from the discipline. So what they do in the early education system in Japan, they take a little child as young as 8 months, which is the only country in the world. In other countries, the students goes to the school when they're 2.5 to 3 years to the Montessori crèche. But in Japan, they go to the 8 months, and from 8 months, they are developed all the way to the end of the 6 years. How to identify parameters that they need to live a life. And this is very unique to only Japan because the students in the community, say like, you're on a 3 kilometers length, distance that you are living. So within this community, you have like every 3 blocks, there is something which is called oichien or hoiken, Japanese kindergartens, where the 8-month child, when the 8 months, this is very important. I think I must need to address this because this information go to a lot of good people. They don't know.
Correct.
And these 8 months babies, they crawl, they don't even walk. that is just about the time when the brain starts developing.
Okay.
The brain starts developing. So when they go and start living in a one place, in a region, they start building cooperative, way to live together, to grow together. And throughout that time, they put very specific emphasis to those education that is needed to live a sustainable life. So what they do, they teach every student exercises from 8 months all the way to the end of 5 years. What is safety? What is security? What is health? What is segregation? What is conservation? What is environment? What is corporate? What is respect? Most important. These are the basic foundation that is needed to live this life. So when we live this life under that umbrella, we have every kind of education. And the other day when we were having another meeting with a gentleman, he was talking about the ESG. And on the sidelines when we spoke, even prior to the podcast, and I was mentioning this, so that can be only addressed provided we make a citizen, those who know what is that they need to do to live a life. So these Japanese children, they have exercises, and these exercises are put into the habits through which they are taught to see through the eyes and listen to the ears and analyze to the brain. Through the analyze, they are taught what to keep and what not to keep. What not to keep is unsustainable. Okay. What you need to keep is sustainable. So this process is put into the habit through the 5 senses. In Japanese, there's a word which is called gokan. Gokan means 5 senses of the Panchayendriya. So they put it into the 5 senses. So this education model is very unique. They haven't taken no international pedagogy. It's like if you are in India, you go and to kindergarten, you see Montessori, curriculum, you see, or kindergarten, there are different kinds of curriculum. Then when you go to school, you see IGSC, IBC. It's mostly, curriculum that has been brought in from other country into our country or our state curriculum. Japan has built this pedagogy in a such a which is very unique, and there's a history to it. This started way back, some 156 years back, post-Meiji Restoration, back in 1868, through where they evolved an education through which they wanted to make contributing citizens. So this little babies, when they grow up, there are 2 aspects of growth, right? When a person grows, we make a destiny through the belief system. We made belief systems, right? Through the belief system, we make a destiny, right? So if a child is at home until the 3 years, the brain already develops a belief system, which is the belief systems of the home. And these homes are different homes, so when they go to a common place, someone from the Re, someone from the Plum, someone from some religious, spiritual background or different, they go and speak and they try to put their belief system in a common space, thereby maligning the belief system of the country. So what Japan has done, they take these babies at about by the 8 months, and the baby's brain starts growth, so they start building 2 parallel belief system. One belief system is the belief system that is for the house. Keep it to yourself. But there's another greater cause, the belief system for the country. How you lead the country, right? What the responsibility is. So they are taught this. So through this, they are taught by the end of the 6 years, they get all the perception, knowledge of all the qualities. Those are the underlying qualities of SDG 4, which is the quality education.
Okay.
So SDG 17 can only stand on its feet provided we have done good work in SDG 4. Unfortunately, the world is not addressing to it. Japan has addressed it very effectively. So if you go and look into the Kyoto Convention and studies in those lines, those are even United Nations, SDG protocols. I'm sorry to say most of the experts, they don't even talk about it.
Exactly.
And they should talk about it. So this question that you asked is very important, because these children, sometimes Japan people don't understand why Japan is so good, because when these children, they go to grade 1, this is about the time, they get stronger, they get the ability to do things. So medical science says that when a child grows to about the 6 years, whatever they learn, they take it for the rest of their life. So what they teach those parameters that makes a human to make sustainable. Now they are taught within the school system to apply those from the 6 years all the way to the end of the 12th grade high school. So where they are taught now, as you know, by seeing, by hearing what is good, what is not. Now how would you keep it good? You know that this is good. How to do to keep it good? If it is bad, it is bad. How to throw it in the right way. And this is
rejection is also taught there.
Absolutely. So this entire systems, like, people in most of the world and everywhere, they talk about Kaizen. Kaizen is a way of life in Japan. So how? So Kaizen means continuous improvement, right? So the continuous improvement is in the school system for those 15 years of their life, where they do Kaizen at Gemba. What is Gemba? Gemba means real place.
Okay.
So the school is the real place where they do Kaizen continuous improvement. By how? They apply 5W2H. You know what is 5W2H? And using 5S tools. So this is how the Japanese pedagogy is made, where they are taught to segregate Seiri, Seito, Seiketsu, if you have heard of all these
Correct,
stuff. They do it. So eventually, by the time when the students goes out of the school, they build contributory citizens to take care of others before self. Country comes first,
Oh.
Absolutely. So it's a very unique, so what we see about the discipline that we talk about in Japan has inherently built a sense which we call sixth sense, through which they can see those gaps which otherwise people put into Jugaad mode in most of the countries. So There is nothing called Jugaad in Japan. It's all about quality excellence, and that only comes when it inherits into the senses within the body of everyone. And this is pertinent everyone. So that is the country's direction.
That's
I think.
incredible.
So that has not been there anywhere in the world, some of it in the Western nations, Europe, like Norway, Sweden and all, Finland, they did part of it. Japan has effectively, embedded into the education systems. A lot of the people, they don't even talk, they don't even know how it's done, provided you've been one of the experts in that line.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what I've heard is that Japan teaches the children to clean their own classrooms.
Yep.
Is it true?
I gave you the answer just in my last, it's just not about cleaning. They do everything.
That
Cleaning
means in the school also, they don't wait for someone will be coming and cleaning.
They have everything schedules in the PDCA, plan to check out what they need to do. It's a part of not only the students, it's a part of the teachers, it's a part of the admin, it's a part of the security. Everyone is doing in the entire institutional system that actually directly relates to total quality management. So what they are doing is a part of the total quality management. That they're doing the cleaning of the classes, they do other stuff. So why people talk about it, just like the way you just asked me the question, because it's something very readily available in the YouTube videos where we see the students are cleaning.
Exactly, that's what I have seen there.
Yeah, but just before, in the last question, I said that what they are taught safety, security,
Correct.
health, hygiene, segregation, conservation, environment, corporate, and most important respect. These are the underlying elements to make a human, and there are different exercises within the school during the days hours. And the other thing, they do these exercises, which is also very important, in three environments. What are these three environments? The child grows. One of the environment is the school environment. One of the environment is the house environment. One of the environment is the community environment. So
There is outside world.
Outside community. So they had to tandemly balance between knowing exactly what to do. So these qualities that you talked about the school, it is just about a fraction of what we can see from the surface, but they do a lot much more, which is not even talked to. If you want to ask me a question, I'll be happy to answer you and then research deeper. We can get
surely, but one thing I am curious to understand from you is that is this about economy or about the dignity of labor they believe, basically? Because when I'm doing my own job, so cost of a labor is saved also.
See, first, we don't even look at that perspective,
Okay.
because it is about quality. Now you spoke about labor. You have seen this video, most possibly as in the podcast, do a lot of these things. There was a story about a girl who was in a high school and needs to graduate. All the students were graduated.
The single, yeah.
And the government took care of the train to go to the last day of first graduate.
Correct.
It is about, in Japan, quality comes by the virtue of your birth. So it has nothing about dignity. Everything is equally for everyone, no matter what. So people work. As I said, country first. So when you talk about country first, how would you look at in measuring dignity parameters, right?
Okay.
Dignity parameters only you can measure when you put other things first.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we can say always that Japan respects plumbers and India respects PowerPoint. So which country is actually more advanced if we look in that way?
We are both equally great.
Okay.
And I can tell you how we are great. This session is about something that you are taking, which is quote to me, something that I live on every single day.
Oh.
And I vouch, both are equally great. Someone has kept it to what we see today. Someone has lost it, a part of it. And if you look into our Indian education system, particularly embedded in the Vedic philosophies and principles, they are the reach, and that has actually showed the world the way the world lives today.
Correct.
And we must never ignore that. We might have lost the shine over the last 350 years due to the colonialisms that, took the beauty of the education that we had is equally cooperative and contributing. Because if you see the text and the prefix of the Vedic education system, you will see when the child used to be in the Guru Griha, they were taught to know how to live a life.
Correct.
By contributing and cooperative. So we did it. So if you look from the Indian and Japanese perspective, think about, Japanese, okay. Now every country, they grow on spiritual wisdoms. That's the underlying which actually fabricates throughout the society, right? If you look into Japanese society, Japan didn't even have proper scriptures in 880. They got it in 900. But we sometimes forget about talking about Bodhisena, who took Buddhism from Korea to Japan in 680. And that's been sitting with the Japanese fabric, the spiritual fabric for the last 1400 years. So if that be so that is also the way, to know, let the people know how to live a life. How to live a life is the education.
Correct.
So they have somehow written the real true good aspect, which you see today, is the modern way of Vedic education principles being put into education system that the Japan actually not just as practice even today, which is proven to be absolutely perfect, because that Buddhism, the Buddhist philosophies are based on Vedic philosophies. It is just that Lord Buddha was born as a Vedic, person, not born a Buddha. He got enlightened, he knew Buddha. So if you look and go to one of these mountains in Kalimpong and Gangtok, you will see the Guru Griya, those brahmacharyas are still there, and they are still practicing how to live a life, small children. This was actually the Vedic philosophies and principles. So that you can see, not only here, you can see it in monasteries, and the Buddhists, such places all over the world, even in Japan.
Correct.
So these things, I think they have nurtured and kept it very well to today's date, where, as I was talking about safety, security, this is exactly the principles of the Vedic philosophies and principles. So I think we really need to focus and see deep down in the dive how good we have. So the question is, if someone is better and someone is bad, I say both are good, right? We had it. We have to think how to regain it, right? They got it right, and they have actually using it even on today.
They're implementing that.
And it's pretty absolutely on 100% perfect. That is why we never fought no nations in the world. Even Japan doesn't fight, Second World history, you have to see, if you Second World history, it was because of the Industrial Revolution that was happening in America that shook. And anything that is shook, I don't want to talk much further. That's very geopolitical, so sometimes I can be very, too frank is not too good be on the podcast, so I just want to restrict to that point.
So, what I can understand is that the Vedic system that was prevailing in India, so even 1,000 years back, also the Gurukul system, and Japan adapted that, say, 150 or 170 years back, the SDG 17, what they call the SDG 17 in modern terminology,
are
the same. Or that was a betterment of something, or...
So we were actually a sustainable world,
So can you just enlighten us on SDG 17? Because hardly people know about this.
See, sustainable development goal is practically, how we sustain this world. So we read about SDG, we 2030, we have already reached point of no return. So, there is no way that we can go back, right? So that by itself, is a problem. Now you asked, how do I explain it? It's very easy to understand, It is not, the subject is quite wide and big. But the matters that actually maintains the SDGs that aligns with those knowledge of safety, security, health, hygiene, segregation, conservation. I'm telling time and again that we have to go to the foundation level to make a great country and to make a great world. We need to build citizens to address SDG. We can read as many books, we can read ESG, we can read everything. It will not address provided until to the point that we embed into the education system that becomes the foundation, so we have a proper pillar so that we can give a proper roof of life. That is not happening. So I think that's a very big problem, and this problem, how we don't know, how each another, how it will be, fixed. Nobody is talking in that line, as area that very core to be, we know why it's not happening, and
exactly.
and that is a big problem, It's a big problem.
Rajda,
Yes.
you developed the first documented Swachh Bharat curriculum from nursery to class 12. Is it true?
That is correct. I'm the only one in India.
Oh.
There's no one other than me in India that I'm completely aware of. This are all available in Embassy of Japan, Embassy of India, and all my articulation and my books. And I have this information from the Japanese side too, that from the international perspective, Japan don't have most possibly anyone other than me working on in these lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as per this mission, which one was more important? It was the curriculum more important, or the slogans were more important? We are in Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or something like that.
Well, slogans are very easy and cheesy. You can make it in a second and you can have it, put down everywhere, right? But, working in the ground, you need 4 parameters, to get it to where you want it to be. And those are persistence, perseverance, patience, and resilience.
Correct.
It's a long journey, right? So
Perfect.
it isn't overnight. So are we all ready to get into the journey? Will be the next question. Who are these ones to get ready? And if you listen to me, and if you think you want to be, please reach out to me. I want people like you to give hand and to take this thing much more forward nationwide.
So this one is a very crucial point where we are going through a transformation stage.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
In what aspects?
I mean, Swachh Bharat.
Well, see, first of all, Swachh Bharat, the term, people, it is very important, right? I mean,
Correct.
like, if we can do it, that's the best thing that is possible. But it's a huge task, and as I said a little while ago, unified, way to do it, so one direction of the country. So that's being something that I don't know how they're going to do it, right? But that's without that, it's not going to happen. You have to make Swachh citizens, so there's no other alternative to that. If that answers your question.
You are very political in this reply, I understand. Why did Japan's Ministry of Education recognize your work? And what does that recognition mean geopolitically?
I don't call it geopolitics. I call it academic bureaucracy.
Okay.
Academic bureaucracy, because when we talk about the Swachh Bharat, right? Mm-hmm. These are the basic underlying principles, which is the Japanese style education.
Okay.
Right. So that's what is there's a
Dotoku. Is it called Dotoku?
Not really,
Okay.
So not really. If you have that, not really. But this is actually comes under a ministry which is called EduPort Japan,
Okay.
Those who promote Japanese style education, in different countries. They do to different extent, to in different places. And I think we at our side, we've been doing it quite deep, and Swachh Bharat, the question to the Swachh Bharat, the aspect of it, when we do this, we put this from the education bureaucracy, we put it into this, particularly in India, because India and Japan, we are leaders in Global South.
Correct.
And Japan and India has promised together to work in a way so that we, Japan, hires a lot of Indian, young, boys and girls from this country to work in Japan. So for that, there is a way that we want to imbibe, Japanese process. There's 2 aspects to it. One is the language and the process. So if once this process is taught, even if you're talking about Kaizen is basically Swachhata. Exactly the same thing.
Exactly
the same thing. So
without any doubt.
If it is from bottom down, from the kindergarten, or from the top, from the higher education, this education actually transfers. And when the students learn these educations, it actually not only education bureaucracy is a very beautiful thing. These people, they can actually go and work in Japan. Number one. Number two. Japan has a demographic dividends, as problem. The population is going down. I just want to rewind and connect something to connect from where I was talking.
Okay.
When I went to Japan, we were paying only 3% of consumer tax. It went down to 5%. It went down to 8%. Now it's to 10%. And I've seen over the last 24 years. And it's quite an obvious. I would not wonder if that goes to 20% in the next 15 years, looking at the demographic dividend going down. But at the end of the day, we need the people tax money to carry the show, run the country, right?
Correct.
So the education bureaucracy comes there, where Japan is a country, they want quality people to be there in that country, right? So when we talk quality and excellence to our Indian student, from where they have already asked for 500,000 students within the next 5 years from India, these students trained, they can go and work in Japan. They can work for Japanese companies across India. We have more than 5,000 Japanese companies, majors, along with the subsidiaries. Those are into India. That's being the largest in numbers, right? So where our students, those who work, they can walk into those companies, Japanese companies in India, because process is important. So we teach the process. Then when they know this process is absolutely perfect to address Make in India, Skill India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and Viksit Bharat of India. Because if we want to make skill and all, we need to know quality and excellence. You cannot just do that by Jugaad.
Correct.
Then in few years down the road, people say, like in the other countries, they can't make things properly, right? So once our students learn this, even though it's Japanese, being into education bureaucracy, it also helps our people to work for any companies in India. This is India. They can work for any international companies. Those who are in India, they can work for the Japanese companies anywhere in the world. They can go and work for foreign companies in foreign lands, because anyone and everyone, those who know the person who is from the university, bedrock, just graduated with the knowledge of Kaizen philosophies and principles, total quality management, you wouldn't have a better bet to have it, because they have industry, those people, those who believe in excellence and quality and not Jugaad. So education bureaucracy is so deep, as sometimes when you look from the surface, how they would do it. Japan has structure. If you being tomorrow go and buy a Toyota, you say, I have a Toyota.
Exactly.
I have a Nissan, I have a Hitachi. I have a Panasonic, I have a Sony. It's a pride, because why? They're not going to tear down. You're not going to break down. You have bought something that will go for your life. As in America, it is said, Toyota is a one-person whole life car.
Correct. Exactly.
So that's, if that can be one of the closest answer that.
That's the profound insight that you have thrown light on that.
Thank you so much.
And regarding, if I again go for comparison between Indian parents and Japanese parents, in India we always ask, what is the marks you have scored? And in Japanese, they are always interested for the quality development, not for the marks.
Yeah.
So how are these two different, or would this country need to think in a different
way? You talk
way?
about marks?
Marks in the exam.
They don't really wonder, worry about how much they got. They want to make good citizens, So say my children, they are Japanese citizens, right?
Correct.
They're all Japanese, bilingual, mixed parents, right? And even in my home, we have never told in my daughter or my son, ever you study, they have been to part into Japanese school, then to American school. Mm-hmm. But with the Japanese parent as a whole, they are, their child is an independent right from the day they were born, from the, early, like from the 6 years, 7 years, the children goes to school and come back, and they study in a group. After school, after 3 o'clock, they all study and work and do their homeworks while in the school, and they come back. So parent practically, they don't even involve. There's a lot of freedom. And, and I think they have used the freedom for the wise good cause, because the education system is such that even if you give them the freedom, they don't go haywire. They stay in track. And like in most countries, we're kind of curious. If we have a little child goes independent, they may go haywire, because we live in a country where we live in a different belief system. It's quite a natural. But when you have one unified belief system of the country, that's how I just spoke a little while.
Exactly. Sometime back you have told the same thing. So
that actually, because of the discipline question that you had, so that discipline is a part of the Japanese life. So they're all independent in their own way. Nobody cares about what marks you have got. Everybody has a job. Everybody, when they graduate, a lot of these people, they don't even go to the college, they just pass their class 12 and then they get the licenses, because in Japan, all the specified skills need licenses. Once you have a license, you are set to go and for a good job for the rest of your life. Another thing in Japan, when you work in companies, most of the companies' jobs are your lifetime work. You would hardly find a Japanese, they would come back and leave a job and go to another country. That's absolutely very less in number. Just like, in India or another country, you have a government jobs, that means, you are actually, okay, I am settled because I got a government job. In Japan, if you work in a private company, it's like a government job, because that's a job for your life. Oh. So very loyal, very dedicated, for their country comes first, during the closing months. They wouldn't even go home. People say, they are not going home. For them, that is everything, because they can't even think of their country. Their company has gone wasted.
Oh, that's excellent.
Their way of
the mindset is completely different.
It's different. The responsibility that they take of everything around, that is what is so much integrated into their philosophies and education systems. Where in other countries, let me put it this way, to make it very clear. When I'm in India, I go to many Indian homes. All my friends are Indian. I'm an Indian. I was raised here. You go, most of the homes, those who are middle class, say middle class, those are upper class, that's another thing. You will see everybody's home is very, very clean.
Correct.
We take so much of responsibility to keep our things clean. The moment you step out from the door, it is all dirty. So what it means, we take care of ourselves, but we don't take care
of the community or the country.
So we don't contribute as in a whole. So that is completely different there. As much as you take care of your own self, you take care of everyone around. It's just not about when it comes to taking care, you take care of everything before your own self. So that's the reason if you go and look into my Twitter handle, my personal Twitter handle is others before self.
Okay.
So when I realized
That's
that...
excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. So people say, others people say it's a lot of spiritual, I says, no, that I've learned it from them. Why is others before self? You go in the road and you talk to someone for something, they wouldn't speak English, but they will try die hard to help you at any possible to the last minute.
Okay.
With me, I tell you a story. It's a very wonderful story. I must say this because...
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I must say it. My money bag, I put it in the bag, there are two bags. One is a bag. Instead of that, the money bag was there in the other bag. And it was by about, almost late evening train that I was coming home, right? And I forgot that bag in the train. It happened to be, normally nothing gets lost as you in Japan. We have heard it, but this is something very, very different, right? So the person who was there happened to be, maybe he, I don't know, next station, he was supposed to get it. He saw the bag there. So he got the bag. By the time I was home, I was very tired of lying. I don't even remember it was there. Suddenly I hear my door knocking, dig, 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 dig. And this person comes and says, I'm really sorry to come to your home at this late hour in the night knocking. I'm very sorry. I said, what happened? No, he said, I believe, this bag is yours. Because I have my identity card, my address,
the address was there, and that's why I look at it.
I believe that, it is most possibly yours. So I just came with this back to your home, thinking that, you must be in a lot of trouble, if you don't find it. I said, is that so? See, I said, it's my bag. And then he said, I'm so sorry. Again, he's telling to knock your home. I could have come in the morning. Please don't mind.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, this is where you get, this you don't get to see. There are many, how many I tell? This is just one thing. Recently, just about a month and a half, they happened to have, some students, they went with us for student exchange program to Japan. They were on a research program. They had to go to Hokkaido University and Resumeikan. And we landed in Tokyo. Are we okay on time?
Yeah.
We landed in Tokyo and it happened to our students, they came in and the aircraft was way back at the apron, right? So we had this bus to take her to the, to inside to the where we would pick up the, our bags and stuff. We pick it up and we had a transit. Suddenly this boy says, I have forgot my phone. Yes, my phone. And I forgot my adapter, charges, everything in the plane. I said, don't worry, you'll get it. Immediately I called in the ANA staff and said, this happened. And I said, please wait. They immediately communicated from there all the way to the aircrafts. After 15 minutes of communication, we came to know those are not there in the airplane in the pockets. So meanwhile, they are cleaning the aircraft. Somebody might have picked up, so they might not got hold of the person who has picked it. Obviously, it will be returned.
Correct.
So what they did, they said, sir, please give your telephone numbers and email ID. If you would find it, we're going to give you a call and we'll let you know. And it happens on the 9th day of the student exchange program. They called us. They called my phone. And they said, we have received it.
Oh. That's
After
amazing.
9 days, we have received it. Let me tell you, the story doesn't end here. Now, we are on the way back to India, and we'll be coming to Delhi, okay? So, when we were in the Haneda International Airport, we are given a password. So, with the password, if we say correctly, they will give it. But somehow, when we went to the counter, they didn't even ask for the password. They validated it that this is that person's. They said, this is here. Thank you so much. They gave it. The same person, I'm talking of the same person, he may be in the mode of, forgetting things. He landed in Delhi in the IGI and happened to have even came out of the aircraft. He somehow forgot his adapter inside the aircraft. We requested, can we go inside the aircraft to pick it up? They said, you cannot just go and you cannot have it. He didn't have it after landing in India.
Oh.
This is a story that happened just about a month and a half back. So when you do deeper, if I have to connect from the question that you have, that is the kind of sense of responsibility that you find, that nothing gets lost, everything is returned the way it is received. So even if you come to our office, you'll see a big board on the wall where it is said, return the way you have received. If you go to our schools where we have skill centers in the schools where the program,
Correct.
Every classroom has it on top, return the way you received. That's what sustainability is all about. If you don't return the way you received, it is unsustainable. If you return the way you received, it is sustainable.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Simply amazing.
Thank you.
Sir, how critical is the India-Japan alliance in counterbalancing the global power shifts?
It's very, very important.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This question has a big answer, right?
We have time, sir.
We have time, right? So, Japan, very simple. When you look at, I'll give you some examples, right?
Okay.
The subject is very big. You will actually see my name on the Ministry of Education, Government of Japan, particularly on my lectures in this area on geopolitics and how India and Japan are working. And
Correct.
So I would just like to
From there only, I picked up this query from my side.
Yeah, this is something that is core to me. So
I have seen your video that was lecturing with the Ambassador of India, something like that.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So this is very. So I will give few examples. Okay, not few. One example because few it will get much longer. Right now, if you look into the way the Japanese companies are growing in India, the Japanese expat, we have about 20,000 in India, 6,000 being in Gurgaon. The kind of ODA, overseas development assistance loan that is coming into Japan, you'd be wondering the amount is so staggering that we had at the initial phases when the DMS, the Delhi Mumbai Industry Corridor, was in the making. And Japanese government that time was pushing money from the JICA, JVIC, into India. And most of the money was using there because they were making the foundation bricks, of that area, which would geopolitically actually strategize supply chain from the western part of the country to, Gulf and, to the Africa and to the Europe.
Yeah.
So today, if you look at, while sitting, we often talk about Assam. We often talk about the trilateral corridor, right?
Correct.
That will go all the way to Thailand. This sometimes nobody even talk about. If you see lately, Mr. Himanta Biswa's, tweeting that he is actually going to present that Assam's growing, the rate is the number one in the country, right?
Correct.
So Japanese side is putting so much of money into the Eastern Corridor. They've been putting at this point in time, if you look at the JICA report, they have been putting 4.5 billion. Out of the 2.5 billion is going to the northeastern seven sister state, right? So why they are doing it? Because they would want to strategize the kitchen neck that we call, right? That area all the way to Thailand, so that as they are producing within India, because they're all made the production belt, if you look into the western, the belt, and also they have made, this is a very interesting subject actually, they have started making their build. If you see in the initial years, post, DMIC, approach, they were very much into the southern part of India, so on the Chennai and Telangana and all this side, because it was close, from Japan through the seas. During that time, they built it. Right now, what they're building is they're they're putting so much money because, see, at the end of the day, why Japan is Japan? We need things from Japan, right? The intellectual ability that goes to all over the world. And just like if you look, this is such a big subject, I don't know how to start it. Japan had 27,000 OEM in the eastern states of China.
Okay.
In the eastern, Guangzhou, Shenzhen district, that was built over a period of, almost 30 years, post 1960. That actually where they would make things and send all over the world. Then gradually, when the economic boom went down and they started to realize that's about the time they wanted to start and shipping and moving things into India. This happened at the time of Atul Bihari Vajpayee and Prime Minister Modi, if you remember. That was in 2000. They signed the agreement.
It started in 2000 or 2001?
2000. That's when it started, because they wanted to gradually shape and move things into India, because they realized, trade is about oceans. Trade is about land. How much land do you have to do this trade, and how much of ocean do you have to trade? So they were getting constipated, I call Japan, So that's the time they reshaped and they make the DMIC. It took a long time. Right now, they're playing on the biggest deal that is going to become according to me, what I believe is the largest inland port in the world. That is the Chicken Seven State, because this trilateral corridor that is going through which the JICA is paying the maximum amount of money. From this year, 2026, they have promised to contribute $4.5 billion only for the eastern state, because
only the Seven Sisters.
Yes. Extra 4.5 from what they are presently giving, $2.5 billion. That's a lot of money. So this bill goes all the way. They are actually protecting the entire inland port movements through this area, which is going to make the largest inland port in the world, as to what I understand at this point. And so often I keep on saying, if you're not looking into Assam, look into Assam, because by the time you look into Assam, hopefully, as you look into Bombay, you can't touch. Maybe you can't touch that forever because every goods that passes through has to pay the tax in the state to go out of the country all the way to Thailand. And that's one part. Next part is, it is so pivotal and so important because when you put anything into the water, you pay 4 times the price to put that to the other because you're 100 metric ton with 4 anchors sitting on the water and you put all these loads. It's expensive. So this is even more important than the Western corridor because in the Western corridor, even in the DMSC, you have to put this into the water to take it to Gulf, to take it to, Gulf countries, you take it to Africa. You cannot just take it through the ground. Here, if you take it through the ground all the way to Thailand, Singapore, imagine from there, if they have to ship it to Vietnam, if they have to ship to Thailand, if they ship to Philippines, if they have to ship to anywhere, it's just a piece of a dime. That's why, protecting Indo-Pacific, where Japan and India is playing the greatest role, in the global south comes into action.
Correct.
So it is more than, when we talk about America, when we talk about Australia, they are bigger part of the Quad. But when part of the Quad, the biggest thing, when it comes to, the entire maritime and the support to protect this land is India and Japan. So it's a great thing that isn't happening, and I must always tell everyone that look into Assam before it's too late, particularly you all are from Calcutta, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very
in fact,
close.
I was in Assam also.
So you go to Assam right now? Have you been to Assam lately?
Going place, state in India now, probably.
Have you been there?
I visited last month only.
See the way
what is changing, like anything. Even I must not compare, but in some areas what I found was that all the stores and everything, we are much better than any of the Western nations.
I mean, like if you go and see...
the GS Road or that area, na?
If you followed... Yes, absolutely. If you followed
the Christian Bosti area and all this after Polton Bazaar.
Yeah, if you would follow Dr. Ravi Kota's handles in the Twitter and in the LinkedIn every week, you will see 2 Japanese delegations in his office every day in Assam, in his office, If you see Mr. Himanta Biswa's handles, you'll see some Japanese delegation sitting there. We do, let us be very clear, we do a long-time assessment and incubation. There is no short term. So Japanese companies are already looking into big term. I personally, I'm advocating with Japan. So I'll be going to Japan. I'm actually meeting companies there. These are large companies. They're looking into us big time. Hopefully I'll be contributing in that some way to have them into this country because that part, when it comes to Japan, India, compatibility, no one has that appreciation compatibility because it started 1600 years back through Buddhism. So our spiritual beliefs and system, as we said, are same. So we are the one who can actually, appreciate each other's abilities because we are identical. We just look different. They look yellow. We look brown. But, the values are same. We still keep the shoes outside. They also keep the shoes outside. They have a different slippers from inside. We have a different slippers from inside. They keep everything clean. We keep everything. They keep everything outside, inside clean. We keep everything inside, not outside.
Correct.
That's the only thing. And I told you why we don't do that.
Correct. Exactly. Agreed. 100% agreed, sir. So,
yes, please.
If India adopts just 3 Japanese habits nationally, what will it be? Or what should be they?
Yeah. 3, right?
Okay.
Okay, 3. No, I'm just thinking, what are the 3? Their ability to look critical things easily.
Oh. That is breaking down the problem into smaller problems.
Critical
like
things
that.
easily because that's what that teaches them throughout the school system, right? They have a strong observation power. We must teach people to have a proper observation power. Now, on that, do you want me to talk a little more on that?
Yeah, please.
We talk about innovation, right?
Correct.
Innovation starts with observations. I can imagine of the innovation that we have had. These days we read innovation and sustainability too much because we don't do none of them. The good innovation that I can think of is of Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose, who actually documented 5G spectrum. That was in 1894, 6 years per 100 plus 25, 26, 130 years back. That was one of the things. And today that, all the cellular companies pound upon and saying that we are innovating. You are just not innovating. That device is just as a piece of plastic or a piece of thing. If it wouldn't work, without that technology, that been already identified 130 years back. That's the innovation you call, because you have looked into, and then if you talk about the other innovation that I can think of, I can only remember Satyendranath Bose and Meghna Shah with the Boson theory. I can't think of anything, improvised versions of the theory of relativity. You see anyone, this is not innovating. It's add-ons. So, observation. The
Correct.
point is observation. What I was trying to make, we need to bring a good hat on. So it's something that they can learn from the Japanese, something which is very crucial, because once you have proper observations, then we become qualitative people, because observation wouldn't let you do bad. If you don't do bad, you're in a Jugaad mode. That's become a word in the Oxford Dictionary right now. Sad,
Exactly.
but that's what it is.
Could not agree more on this.
This is one. You need two more?
Please, 2 more.
Yeah. The second thing is, being truthful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have your own example only. You are the example. What you have experienced exactly different, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Being truthful, they're so truthful, I mean, like, they don't lie. Lying is not in the dictionary, They don't
Of the
know.
Politicians?
Huh?
What about
See,
the politicians?
bureaucracy is a different thing. I'm talking about a common generic human
Okay.
being as a whole. People, we live with these people. I mean, and I think that's how it is, I mean, we cannot vouch for that in other countries. If you go, everybody's complaining, lying, and this and that. I say they don't complain.
They don't complain. You
So
have
who
told
would
me.
complain? What they have to lie,
Correct.
So it's with the complaining starts lying. These are your wings of your wings. So to put you astray, if I may say it in that way. So they don't lie. If somebody has examples to lie, well, you did not understand Japanese. That's all that I can tell you. You have to live a life of Japanese to understand this. That's number 2. Number 3, they are always willing to help you.
Oh,
They're always willing to help you. Even in the road I was telling you. So here we pretend that we are helping, right? They don't pretend. We often say, to help without expecting anything in return. I think they are the one who does it. Others all expects.
that's excellent. That's excellent.
That's what I found. Every single
Rajda,
day. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
China exports infrastructure to the world. US exports platforms. Japan exports values. And India exports talent. So, is education the new battlefield of global influence?
Education. I don't think the education is the force for the global influence. The global influence is how one can steal things from the others.
Okay.
That's what I have found. It's not education. Education doesn't do that. Yeah. So everybody is, they are influencing, how they can steal things from others. You see the current present geopolitical,
Exactly.
situation. Everybody wants to steal from others, I mean, why do you have to steal? You would never see Japan doing it, though. Japan go uniformly and contribute all over the world. Even in the farthest Micronesian island, a person has to get their way up, day up, see something that has been contributed by Japan. And they don't even talk about it, That's the most beauty of it. They don't come and say, we have done this. You'll never say Japan, right? So that's because of the education. I think it is all these countries. I think they are trying to steal each other. You see, people are saying green land, white land, what kind of thing? Their shields, this, that. What is going on in this world, right? So, do anybody do if it's for the education? No. Let me be frank about this. People with education don't do things. People with education, what's happening right now on the other parts of the planet, all over, that
Correct.
doesn't speak for education. Sorry, this question may not be quite relatable to, the answer that you expect from me. Anyone who's been really true honest, they will not say it's not education, something else. Proper education doesn't let people, irrespective of any countries, anywhere in the world, to do that.
At least attacking or capturing people from other countries or capturing other countries for my own sake, like that.
Yeah. India will also not do. India
Never does that.
India is a great country. We have a history of being independent. We talk about Bengal being, going backward. I tell is absolutely wrong. Maybe this looks out is, what West feels today because of all that was looted from this state, from
Correct.
this city, Kolkata, for 300 years. That has given them $45 trillion. So this state has remarkable contribution to their economy, which sometimes
Obviously.
not been talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because when the capital was shifted, the entire paradigm started to shift.
Yeah. Also something we've not talked about, which I want to say,
Yeah,
because
please.
I have said it before time and again. We are talking today about Japan, India, we're talking about the world. Today, the modern Japan, India, this relations largely depends on quite a bit, large, on the contribution Bengal did in this modern new age of bilateral relation between Japan and India. You talk about Vivekananda, he went there. After
Correct.
Vivekananda, Rabindranath Tagore. After Rabindranath Tagore, Rajbihari Bose. After Rajbihari Bose, Radha Binod Pal. Radha Binod Pal's statue sits in the temple, which is the temple of the Emperor of Japan,
Oh.
Yes, absolutely, just across the street in the Yoshikuni Jinja, every Japanese child in the school, they have to read about Pal-san, Binod Bihari Pal, Subhash Chandra Bose. These are the people nobody talks about. These are the people that, who has shown, give the gateway. Even the Japanese curry that we eat, that curry is given by Rajbihari Bose.
This amazing information that you are sharing with the audience.
You know this, right? I hope you have heard it, the
No,
Japanese
I was
curry.
not aware.
Japanese curry, the way, the Indian curry that has evaluated a Japanese way, it was a gift from India by Rajbihari Bose when he went there and married a Japanese lady. That's about the time he was working in the restaurant and then went on to serve this, which gradually become popular in different shapes and some form all over Japan. That is India's contribution to Japanese curries for Japan. So
Brother, Bengal's contribution to Japan, what you can say?
Absolutely, in a way, because it's a Bengali person who went and that is in every platter. That is the most favorite dish.
What it is called in Japanese?
Japanese curry. We call curry.
Curry.
The pronunciation like curry.
Okay. I was not aware of this also. I think most of the Bengalis also are not aware of that.
So the contribution of Bengal even today is on every platter of Japanese. Every home in Japan, they can't live without that. That's an everyday dish. So that's Bengal's contribution. So, but unfortunately, nobody talks about it,
Yeah. But people are also not aware of that. When it is not that we don't talk.
I don't know why they don't talk. Maybe they are not aware, maybe they are aware, but they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, finally, what is the message to Indian policymakers, educators and parents?
Politicians, right?
Because you have seen West, you have seen East, and the extreme West and extreme East also, and obviously India.
Politicians, my only message is that, you all are doing great work, particularly in perspective to Japan. I'm living in Japan. This is my 25th year, right? That's my home. And I see politicians, they are from different states. They're ministers and chief ministers and other ministers. They're going on different delegations to Japan continuously. Honestly, they're going and they're bringing a lot much, information back with them from the Japanese side. So if you go to many states, that's happening. Other than few states, it's not happening, right? And I would urge those few states to look into this and to go and visit and to be a part of this opportunity. I think it is a responsibility, to give this opportunity to the future torchbearers of those states, those who equally, demand those opportunities, and I think that is missing out. Some of the state that you can think about without talking about, I don't want to say about it.
Okay, fine.
They are just not there. And if they want to go, they should go. In any way I can contribute in those areas, I'm always available to talk, and to contribute in those areas, because those states, politicians need attention. One can be most possibly extreme far south in the south by the ocean. One is on this side of the country,
Correct.
These other countries, they never showed up there. They should show up. That's for the message for the politicians. Rest of them, they are doing well. When it comes to, the educators, Japanese style education is one aspect that I spoke, but then it comes to Japanese higher education. Japan is a country that has given 29 Nobel laureates in the last, 75 years post Second World War, 75, 80 years. I guess I have to really calculate to put out the numbers, but it's about that much. And that speaks the volume, of the education pedagogy that they would have.
That goes
without saying their quality education. So there's a lot of good opportunity for the students to go and get into the higher education in Japan. And Japan is welcoming in huge, big number, students, particularly from South Central Asia, and India is one of their forte. Unfortunately, our aspirations is built up so much for the last 300 years, we tend to look at somewhere where they are actually dumping on both the shores of Atlantic and Pacific at a time when Japan is welcoming students with huge arms to get inside. And they go, our universities are among the top hundreds. You talk about it, I can give you a line of the university, right, for University of Tokyo. They are on the tops in the 10. And these are great universities where the student can go. There are a lot of scholarships and opportunity from the Japanese side. We call it Momusha Scholarship.
Okay.
Go and look at the Japanese embassy's website. Is all there. Then come to Japan Education Center and Information Foundation. We've been actively working. Our skill centers, they have satellite offices of Japanese universities and colleges where you all can go and study. Once you study, let me tell you, you will get into their pedagogy of why Japan is Japan, what is today. You wouldn't get that provided you don't get into that. Yes, maybe you need to learn a little bit of the language. Put 2 years of the language, learning time. We are learning so much every single day. If you put
Correct.
that half an hour of study for the next 2 years, and if you can learn that, what you make a very green next 35 years of your life at a time with the demographic dividends. They're looking at lot people to get in. I just spoke about 500,000 people a little while before. So you can be a part of that. So it's the responsibility of the educator, to work as a think tank within the institution, because once we walk into the classroom, we are there with our message, they shape their future. So we need to show the right things, what that would actually shape their lives. So that opportunities they can have. One thing good, most of those universities, if you score well above, a lot of IT students are there, or even other universities, you have a lot of scholarship opportunities. You might just actually, study for free. Momusha, you even get the airfare tickets, to go and come. That is also in because you practically don't pay nothing from your pocket. And then even if you have to pay, I will give you some information. This is for the academicians as such.
Correct. Because the students will be all very interested after listening to this podcast also.
Absolutely.
And you are opening a new side of the new era, rather, for the Indian students.
Absolutely.
Who are willing to go to Japan and not interested for the West at this point of time.
Yeah, absolutely. They can reach out to me. But when it comes to you need to pay, but from your own pocket. National policy is about 3.5 to 4 lakhs of rupees a year, and that is exactly as the fees for the resident Japanese. So there is no cap or there is no bar for the outside students to pay more. Unlike you go into the West, where as an international student, you have to pay so much more. Being not resident in Japan, they have same policy both for the international and the domestic students. In other words, you can study for 3 to 3.5 lakhs of rupees per year from the top universities for a 4-year program. You're actually putting in 13, 14 lakhs. I think in India, I've heard universities, they are not even well-recognized universities, just 5 to 6 lakhs of rupees.
Exactly.
So this adds up to, so please do that. If you need any assistance, you can always reach out to me, and I'm more than happy and willing to go and speak this. Just now, I'm just talking about the trailer. You can see the movie if you come and call me to your venue. I'll give a lecture. The movie will on.
Excellent.
There's education.
Thank you so much.
And the last question: educator, politician. There's
and
another.
Parents.
Parents. If you get a chance, please teach your child Japanese language. It's a very powerful language because, as I was telling just about by now, one is liking, right? One is knowing, it's fine. But when you need to really learn something which is so good, maybe if you know the language, it helps. Again, I told about it a little while before in the podcast, I have seen 3% consumer to 10% consumer. I have seen the demographic dividend to go down from 132 million people when I was into Japan. First time to a point today is just a little below 120 million. And I've seen this over the last, 25 years. Now it is going staggering even lower. We are looking at 100 million people in the next another 20 years. Japan is huge number of people. So if you start teaching your student, your child, even in the high school, the Japanese language for 3-4 years, they are well in good run to qualify for EJU. EJU is examination to Japanese universities. It is a standardized test that actually gives your child wing to fly for a free education in Japan under scholarship. It's just like you give SAT and TOEFL
Correct.
that takes you to US, IELTS to Canada and UK. In Japan, you need to go EJU. In EJU, there are a few selectives that you need to give an examination, but another thing is the Japanese. So that's kind of a little difficult, but it's not difficult provided you know it, I've heard sometimes, someone told me it's a foreign language. On the foreign language part of it, I also want to give a very strong message to each one of you. We live in India where we speak language we don't understand. We speak Kannada, we speak Malayalam, we speak Tamil, we speak Telugu, we speak Gujarati, Ahomiya, Bengali. It's what not we speak. We are such a country by ourselves. We are 100 languages in the world, and most of us we talk 3 to 4 languages in general in India. That's very common. How would we, as a nation, can think of another language as an international language? Let's think as another language. That's just a simple.
Exactly. That's the right way to put in things.
It's another language. So you put that half an hour of the studies every single day, 20 minutes. I trust you. Your child is into Japan. If you need any guidance, go and see www.jeci.in. Let me repeat, www.jeci.in. We are advocating very deep academic industry collaboration between Japan and India. Once you go, you'll get all this information and tell me we are NPO. What it means? Absolutely fair through. Just 2 days back, we had Japanese University examinations entrance test in our facility. Many students will qualify and they will actually go to study in Japan. And the
Excellent,
best thing is that
excellent.
you don't have to pay us nothing.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
You don't
Really
have to pay us
amazing.
nothing because we are actually advocating. So please go, if any schools, any colleges, professor, provost, trustees, come out to us. We are there to reach out to you to help you with that. So please take this seriously because Japan is a lot of people and your child would be next. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for this insightful discussion and what we call Adda in Bengali. And obviously, I like that for the Japanese carry.
কারি না সত্যি আমরা সারাক্ষণ আজ ইংরেজিতে কথা বললাম বাংলায় আর আমাদের কাছে কথা হলো না
No. Anyways, it was not just a podcast. It was a blueprint for India's future also that you have told today.
Thank you.
So, Captain Raj Adhikary reminds us that nation doesn't rise by chance. They rise by habits, systems, and values. If Japan teaches us discipline and India teaches the world imagination, together they won't just create growth, they create civilization.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. Stay curious, stay disciplined, stay future ready.
Thank you so much, for having me today. It was an absolutely pleasure. Nice questions, I wish, we had more questions and more going on and on. Hopefully, hopefully we'd come into the corporate podcast again. Maybe the next time,
Exactly.
with this different sets of questions is so deep a domain, maybe as we end, maybe one only for the education. One is like geopolitics.
Sure.
So geopolitics.
That will be I am honored.
Yeah, so geopolitics will be another one, which is very core too. I could not, when I started talking about the Northwest, I said it's such a big subject, right? And I need one session, to do this. Sometimes when I'm into Calcutta, we are in touch and we're connecting.
Exactly.
So that time, that is something.
So next time we'll be on Northeast?
It will be geopolitics, Japan, India, Global South.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
we're
much.
going to do that, yeah. Thank you very much.